parents are really questioning, what is this world that we're living in? Why are we here? And what do we really want out of our lives and the lives of our children? What does it really take to educate a child? What do you really actually need in order to do that? And on the other hand, I'm like terrified because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to create this huge divide within my community and we're going to see all this breakdown. God is trying to get something into this earth. And if the people are not responsive to it, like he's going to find his vessel. It's my assignment to be here. It's my assignment to not be afraid. It's my assignment to get the doors open and get the people talking. I really, really don't care about the words per minute metric. I do not. But to hear a mom say, I feel like I got my son back. I said, I feel like I know why God wants us to do this.
Are you interested in innovation in Christian education? Did you know that there are churches who are waking up to their role in offering K-12 education? They are doing so by opening their doors to offer creative Christian learning environments, providing low-cost, simplified private school options. Many of these learning environments, such as microschools and hybrid schools, offer support to the homeschool community while offering an escape route for students who've been trapped in the public schools and want a way out. Pastors everywhere are realizing that it is time to activate their church and assume their rightful place in discipling our children in the Lord. Not just on Sunday mornings, but Monday through Friday. They are opening their doors and starting unique schools. It is wise to do so. Otherwise, what are we doing? For far too long, Christians have relied on the government to educate our children. This ought not be. We can do better, church, and I can show you how. Wise and Otherwise highlights the successful church and school partnerships. We will learn from pastors who are getting it done and school founders who are on a mission to expand the kingdom of God through K-12 education. Come on, let's enter the arena of K-12 education and redeem it for the glory of God. Hello, welcome to another episode of Wise and Otherwise. I have with me today Analyssa. She is in Wetmore, Kansas at the Legacy Learning Academy. Analyssa, I have been waiting to introduce the world to you and tell your story. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes, absolutely, Dalena. It's really exciting to be here, and I'm really excited to share the story about what we're doing.
Yeah, so Wetmore, Kansas, there's a bit of interesting things that have happened there in that community that have led you back. This is your hometown. Tell me, what did the Lord do in your life and in that community that has you there right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the local public school in this town, which has a population of 311 people, was closed in May of 2023. And for reasons unbeknownst to me at the time, I found myself here in Kansas physically when that transition happened and became a really big part of it. So a little bit more detail about that. I was living in New York working as a management consultant, and I was working on a project that was in Los Angeles, so sort of coast to coast. And I had the opportunity to come home and spend a little bit of time with family. And given that I hadn't been here since I was 18, I thought that that would be a really good opportunity to take that and really spend some time at home. And while I was here, this sort of local political issue erupted all around us. And we ended up getting into a big, giant, very political, very public battle with the local school board that ultimately led to the closure of the local public school in this particular town and home. And originally, I thought that with my business background and some of the experiences that I'd had in consulting and even in public speaking and politics, I thought, I'm here to save the school. I'm going to save this K through 12 institution, and I'm going to help this community stay on its feet. And how lucky I am that I get to be here and be a part of this. And what we found out was that I think that God has a much, much bigger plan for this place and for this community than I ever really imagined. So we did end up losing the battle with the local public school board. As I said, the public school closed in May of 2023. But what happened all around us is the community was ignited with passion, united in ways that maybe we haven't seen potentially ever. And parents are coming to the table in a post-COVID economic environment and really questioning, what is this world that we're living in? Why are we here? And what do we really want out of our lives and the lives of our children? And so as we started to pick up the pieces for this community, we just really felt it on our hearts. And I can share more about why we were so ready to make this step. But ultimately, we said that we don't really care that the state has made the decision to close the school. But what we feel very strongly is that the Lord has now given us ownership of this building, access to this K through 12 facility, and we believe that it is our assignment to open up a Christian school here and a new micro school here, and really paint a picture for a different way of living and discipleship and education. And we are so thankful, so excited, and just really, really encouraged by everything that has happened, good and bad.
Yeah. And this school, it has a special place for you, right? You mentioned this is your hometown, but you also attended and graduated from this school, and your parents and your grandparents did as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we have 4 generations of family members who attended school here. And I don't know if any of your listeners are from small communities across the state of Kansas, but
I am.
there's some, oh, hey. That's right. There's something really special about the experience that you have in a small community and a small school. You have a lot of one-on-one attention. It's really difficult to fall through the cracks in a place like this. And when I look back at my experience, it was very diverse and rich in terms of the exposure that we had. I mean, I can't tell you how cool it was to come into my old high school building. I go into my old English teacher's classroom, and I'm just looking at the books on her shelf, and I'm like, wow, the poetry, the historic fiction, the all of the just layers and layers of things that we were exposed to in this place, that only has 311 people, right, and doesn't have a lot of electives and things like that. The richness of education experience that we had here is truly something special. So I believe our community has a legacy of rich learning that's inherent in this place. And so if we can find a way to combine that legacy of rich learning with a true following of God, and putting Christianity and education and faith all together in this place that clearly has been set aside and apart by God for something special.
Right.
I'm just so excited about the seeds that have been planted here, and what I believe this is eventually and hopefully going to turn into as we cultivate the gift that we have
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's actually really sad to see what has been happening as far as all of these school closures in small towns across Kansas. And I'm sure it's happening in other states as well. But where I live, we can drive around. So I'm in Partridge, Kansas, and we have a school that got shut down. And then the little town of Turon, the little town of Arlington, Abbeville, Plevna, Sylvia, Pleasant View. I could go on and list all the schools, and there's like a vacant community school building that's been closed and shut down, and they're consolidating and they're busing everybody to a mega school somewhere. So these personalized, the individualized learning opportunity, the connection for deep roots in your community, and families and neighbors all doing life together, that's all gone. It's not happening anymore. And it's really sad to see that. It really is. It's been something that's burdened me for maybe 10 years. And I have pictures. I have like a little photo album in my phone of these schools. I drive by them and I'm like, oh, that's so sad. But I also feel like, what potential, like what amazing opportunity, because now it's like, that's gone. Okay, that's gone. So now what? So are all the families going to be just busing their kids off now? Sometimes a couple hours bus ride that the kids are spending 2 hours a day on the bus. Or are they going to do something creative? Are they going to get innovative? And here's where this comes in. So I'd love for you to share, like, how has Legacy Learning Academy been birthed, and who's helping you with this, and what does it look like?
Right. Well, it definitely all started with, I don't want to use drastic words, but it definitely all started with the collapse of the institutions that the state provided and offered to us. And with that void, we had to start thinking, well, first I formed a coalition with the local business owners in this area. And the local business owners have a need and a purpose to be here. They make their money off the land. They're multi-generational farmers. Like, they're not going anywhere, no matter what. This is where they not only live, but this is where they make money. This is their livelihood. So I started with them because I knew that sort of they cared the most and they would be most impacted if the community crumbled all around them. So began opening the doors with them, and we formed basically a nonprofit organization and a foundation that is meant to, our mission statement is, our mission is to make sure that this area remains one of the best places in the world to raise a family. And we thought, what does a family need in order to stay here, to live here, to thrive here? And so we thought about essential services for families. So we need daycare and we need education. Now, daycare is somewhat easier. It's not easy to provide. Let me be clear. I'm not a mom, but God bless all the moms. Daycare is somewhat easier to put together. There's a lot of support systems across the state to help small communities put the daycare systems together. But the idea of putting together an educational system is really overwhelming for people. They think to themselves, oh, we ought to get a school building. We've got to get teachers. The teachers have to be certified. How are we going to pull together all of this curriculum? And people just start piling mounds and mounds and mounds of requirements, regulations, different complexities that they're going to have to put together in order to do this. But if you sort of like peel back to all of God's most essential truths or very simple aspects of being a human, what does it really take to educate a child? What do you really actually need in order to do that? And the answer is simply that you just sort of need a person who loves children and loves to teach and is willing to walk through that process with them. And so I love that we have a K through 12 facility, which we get to take hold of, and I'm sure God has a plan for it. But really, at its simplest form, you don't really need that much to teach a kid how to read. Yeah. You need a little time, you need a little heart, you need a little will and conviction, but it's really not as complicated as we think it is. And my encouragement to any other small communities that exist across the state of Kansas or really anywhere in the US that isn't satisfied with what's available to you is that it's really not as complicated as it feels at the outset. And it's something that really is achievable and unbelievably freeing if you can just take the small steps and walk towards it, because the amount of just treasure that lies in the experience of educating in a real relational way is really profound and powerful. So I don't know if I answered your question, but happy to talk more in whatever direction makes sense.
Sure. So of course, with Hero, we love to encourage the church to get behind Christian educators and support K-12 Christian education. And there's many opportunities for the body of Christ to do something like that. Not everybody is going to be like you, who is going to be like, you know what? I'm feeling called to start a school and I'm going to do this. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everyone is called to that, but there are many opportunities. And what I love about your story and what's happening there in the community in Wetmore is that there are churches and there are other believers who see the importance of this work, and God has laid it on their heart to get behind you. So share some examples of what that's looked like for you.
Yeah, amazing. This is so cool. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to get to be a part of this is because it's like, I am literally just a part. I'm not driving, I'm not steering, I'm not in control. And God just keeps showing up with surprises like day after day. It's really cool. So we started this first year as a pilot program. We have 16 students from 8 different families. Those 8 different families come from 5 little tiny towns all around our community, and they're all attending different churches. So of the 8 families, we have 4 Protestant Christian churches, different churches. And then we have 2 Catholic community churches. And then we have, so that's 4, 6. And then we have 2, they don't really have an identifiable or formal relationship with any given church. And so we have sort of this amalgamation of the community and of humans and of people, right? Which is, you know, God's people, right? Yeah. And so when we think about what type of support we need in order to pull this together and to do it, not only to do it, right? We want to do it well. And so I know that the tiny church that I go to here in Wetmore, it's called the Wetmore Bible Church. It has about 15 to 20 members, most of whom are over 70 years old. It's very, very small and not only doesn't really have the financial resources to support what we're trying to do, but it also doesn't have the human resources. It doesn't have enough young people to really be here to volunteer and be a part. So I knew right away I was going to have to go out and build a coalition of churches from across these communities, which has been really scary, challenging, but so encouraging to start seeing Christian people coming together. And the most amazing story that we have about this so far is that well, this is weird too. The Wetmore community, 311 people, has 3 churches in it. So it has the Wetmore Bible Church, the Methodist Church, and the Catholic Church. And so the Catholic Church is right across the street from where the school is. It's right over here. And as you know, Dalena, the Catholic Church has a longstanding history of creating Catholic schools and supporting Catholic schools and so on and so forth. And so we don't want to be a Catholic school. We want to be a non-denominational school. We want to introduce families and children to God. We want to introduce them to the Bible. We want to introduce them to the truths of the Bible. And we want people to be free to go to church or explore, to build their church relationship in whatever way makes sense to them. So we're trying to introduce you to the Bible and to Jesus and to God, and that's our goal, our frame. And so I was very nervous to even engage with the Catholic Church at all. I thought, well, they're probably not going to want to support us, and I don't even know if it makes sense for me to go to them. But they're my neighbors. They're my friends. I've known them since I was a baby. They've known me for my whole life. And so we had, I think, 2 or 3 gentlemen from the Catholic Church propose that they do a fundraiser on our behalf, and they have an annual fundraiser that they run every year. It usually raises over $30,000. And so they went to their church and they said, this is important. It's a part of our community, and we should help this Christian school. And they said, we would just propose that we do our fundraiser like normal, and let's give 50% of the proceeds to the new Christian school, and let's just keep the remaining 50% of the proceeds to the church. And for whatever reason, the church ultimately made the decision that because of those doctrinal complexities, they didn't feel as if they could actually sign off on a school that wasn't particularly Catholic. But what was really amazing is that the Christian people who are part of this Catholic Church, they said, okay, we understand what you're saying. And doctrinal complexity often does create those types of barriers and divides. But we as people, we as humans, we as believers and followers of Jesus, still think that this is important. So they took what was probably a relatively significant interpersonal political risk, and they said, we're going to do the fundraiser independently, and we're going to give 100% of the proceeds to this new school. Now, when they called me, I will admit, I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, amazing, right? I'm cheering, right? I'm cheering. I'm like, wow, this is going to be a huge fundraiser for us. And on the other hand, I'm like terrified, because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to create this huge divide within my community, and we're going to see all this breakdown. And that is the last thing that I want to happen when what we're trying to cultivate here is like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control, right? And so for whatever reason, I just continue to say, I'm telling everyone that I interact with, God is trying to get something into this earth. And if the people are not responsive to it, like, he's going to find his vessel, because this is something that Christian people need. This is something that families need. Whether you're following me, whether you hear me, whether you understand me, like, God is trying to get something into this earth. And so this amazing fundraiser went forth. The community did not break down. I'm very thankful to report. Lots of positive feedback from multiple churches and people. And we raised $39,000 in this event a couple weeks ago. And I'm just, I'm like that. My mouth is open, and I'm like crying, and I'm like, well, thank goodness God has a plan, because I'm over here trying to like grade papers. And thankfully he is working something out that's going to make it come to life.
I love it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And you've had some individuals support you, and people come behind you, small amounts, large amounts, and verbal support, encouragement. Your community really is rallying behind you and rooting for you. And then, I just love to see this. And you're talking about grading papers here. Now, you never thought you were going to be a teacher. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So I've been in the business world for a long time, working in consulting across I worked in all kinds of industries, but I've never worked in the education industry. And I certainly didn't see myself on a career path where I would end up building a school or being in the classroom. And I don't know, but here I am. I'm very excited about it. I'm learning a tremendous amount every single day. And certainly, very frankly, and certainly it was very difficult, scary and difficult for me to walk away from my high paying corporate job that had a future and a career path and a direction. But everything that's happened, the way that it's happened, the order, the timing, all of the stories, all of the things, it just felt so strong and so clear. Like, this is, I don't know that it's my calling, because I don't, that feels crazy to say, but I do think that it is my assignment. It's my assignment to be here. It's my assignment to not be afraid. It's my assignment to get the doors open and get the people talking. And what is the saying? Something, you plant the seed and God will water it and make it grow, whatever the case is. And so, you know, I was happy to resign from my company in June of 2024, and I've been doing this for the past 6 months. And I don't know how much longer I'll be grading papers and behind the desk, but I'm really happy to serve, and like I said, thankful to be a part of this amazing, amazing story.
Thanks again for listening to this episode of Wise and Otherwise. We'd like to ask you to take a minute and please rate and review our podcast so that others can learn more about us, and just to continue to show your support for this work that we're doing. It would mean so much. So please, if you're on Spotify or Apple or YouTube, take a minute and give us a good review. Yes, I'm so grateful. I'm so happy. You and I met, I think it was March of 2024 or something. It was, you came to the expo that we were having there in Wichita, and you had this what's this all about? Because I'm kind of sensing that I might be going this direction right now. And I mean, it's been so interesting and so inspiring to watch how this has played out for you, really, from you, just leaving your current career and seeing and just starting and exploring opportunities and delving into researching curriculum, hiring teachers, enrolling your students, and learning from homeschool families that are in the community and those that you can, talk to regarding microschool startups and all these things. And you've just gone all in. And I'm so truly inspired. Like, this is a huge thing. This is no little thing. A lot of times I talk to other school founders, and they might be former public school teachers. They might be educators, one form or another. They might be homeschool moms. They might be pastors. They might be in that world already. And you to see how God just pretty much plucked you out and was like, nope, right here, right now, doing this right here in Wetmore, Kansas, for your community. And but your obedience is just amazing. It really is. And I know the Lord's honoring that, and to watch it play out is really, really exciting. I'd love to have a little peek into the day and the life of Legacy Learning Academy and your students. What does it look like? Because I know it's a little bit of a hybrid model, and there's some innovative approaches in the way you're doing things, which I love.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk a little bit about the overarching schedule, and then we'll dig in a little bit to the curriculum. So we are here from Monday through Friday. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so 4 days a week from 9 a.m. to noon. We're focused on the core educational components, so reading, writing, and arithmetic. So we do our reading, writing, and math consistently 4 days a week or 3 hours a day. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, we're doing a rotational study of, I guess, what you would call the electives. So we have a thematic-based structure where we're using the My Father's World curriculum, and it's an integrated study of geography, history, music, science, and art. And that is set up to be delivered on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. So on those days, those are on long days, we're here from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So a much longer day for those, but it's really just that time to explore those additional elective courses and classes. We have found that the moms and the families really love this, because they have some days where they have free afternoons and flexibility, and some days where the kids are here for a little bit longer, and we're doing things like PE with them and just letting them play. And so there's been a lot of really great sort of push and pull between being here and having a productive structure and good interaction with other kids and families, but also still having enough protected time at home to explore a particular interest for your children, and also just to, honestly, if you're able to be home, to just be home in the same space as your kids are. And so we're really trying to find the right balance between what families who work need in order to have their family structure and system operate, and what we believe is sort of most ideal in terms of families being together and having time and flexibility to be together.
Yeah.
And so we've taken a lot of feedback from homeschool families, from families that want to transition to homeschool, and others that are working full-time but see a need for something different. So at a high level, that's the sort of Monday through Thursday schedule. And then, of course, on Fridays, we call it a remote learning day, and the families have flexibility to pursue continuation of the things that we've done in the week, or to pursue specific projects that are specific for their family.
Yeah.
So
and
that's the schedule.
no, that's great. I think it's just, it's helpful if, just in case any of our listeners are considering this themselves and the Lord is stirring their hearts, they might want to start some sort of a learning center, a school, a microschool, whatever it might look like, a co-op. So there's a lot of variety in how you can do this, right? I mean, it's not a one size fits all. It doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, full days. I know that you are teaching some of the subjects yourself, but you also have been able to hire. Do you have one other teacher who's helping you?
Yeah, I have sort of 1.5 teachers. So there's one other co-teacher, and she has like all of that experience that makes me feel a little bit safer stepping into this space because I don't have it. So she is teaching the younger age group, sort of 5 to 8 range, and then she's also providing specialized reading assistance and support. So we care very deeply about reading as the foundation of all things. It is the way that God speaks to us through his word, so it's the way that we get to know who God is. And obviously, reading is a core component of any learning activity. So we place a lot of emphasis on reading, and she's a reading specialist teacher. So that's been a blessing as well,
Yeah, that's
because
huge. Wow.
14 out of our 16 students actually had remedial learning needs coming into the program this year. And she's been able to really take her past experience and really hone in on identifying what exactly this kid didn't get. Doesn't matter why, right? But for whatever reason, they didn't get something, and really giving them a targeted experience that's working on filling those gaps and really pushing them to develop that reading skill that they need to. So very, very blessed to have a co-teacher. And then we have one more person coming in just half days on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She only comes in 2 times a week. She's a retired teacher, and so she is just kind of out of the goodness of her heart coming to help us. And she's also helping with that one-on-one individualized reading support. So she's just here to help them become better readers, which is amazing. And we're blessed
It
and
is.
thankful. Yeah,
That's
really cool.
huge. I've had of my own 6 kids. I've had a couple who've struggled to read, and I have struggled to help them because I'm like, I don't get why this is so hard right now. Like, so having a specialist, what a gift. That's just an added blessing. And this would be a great time to talk about the results that you guys have been seeing. Amazing. This has had an amazing impact on your students academically, and you have seen their achievement scores like excel. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been really amazing. And I'll preface this by saying I know that everyone has a different opinion of whether testing is positive or negative. But we did make a decision just to help us figure out what was most needed for these new and incoming students. We did some testing with them. As I said, 14 of 16 had remedial learning needs. And in the first 12 weeks of the program, we tested in the beginning, and then how are we looking at the end of the first semester? Blown away in tears. Pretty much everyone increased almost a full grade level in that 12-week period. And we had, I'll just give you a couple of case studies and anecdotes. So one student increased 2 entire grade levels in the 12-week period. His accuracy went up by I can't remember if it was 9 or 11%. And his ability to read fluently and clearly, we don't really like the words per minute metric, but his words per minute metric went up by 35 words per minute. And these are just like category shattering types of improvement in a 12-week period. And that's awesome. And I'm so thankful for that. But what I love the most is what his mom told me. She said, this young man lost interest in school probably 2 or 3 years ago. He was falling behind. And so with the falling behind came a little bit of an attitude, quite a bit of disengagement. And, he grew to sort of hate school. He loathed school. And he just sort of stopped trying in school. And she came up to me and she said, I feel like I got my son back.
Oh,
because his initiative is back. He's trying, he's engaging, and there is light in his eyes, and he's alive again. And I really, really don't care about the words per minute metric. I do not.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear a mom say, I feel like I got my son back, I said, I feel like I know why God wants us to do this.
Oh,
And it's just like
wow.
that, right?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What an impact you're having in those students' lives. And then there's, just the ripple effect. You're impacting these students while you're with them during the day. They're going home and this is impacting their family and then in your community and churches around and Lord willing throughout Kansas and beyond,
Amen.
to just see this. It's incredible what happens when we step outside of our comfort zone. Number
Mm-hmm.
one,
Mm-hmm.
you've taken on some risks there and you've, in areas where you might have felt a little insecure and, inexperienced. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because look at the success and look at the blessing that's
Mm-hmm.
come of this.
Yeah.
So I, of course, want to see this happen more and more. I mean, not everyone's going to have access to a school building, but like you said, it doesn't even matter. I mean, are you guys
Mm-hmm.
even using a fraction? You're using a fraction of a room, right? Out of
Right.
the whole entire classroom space that you have access to.
Right. Yeah, we're using 2 rooms. So the building was built in 1929, and last year we had ownership of it for an entire year. And last year the top floor sat completely empty. And so I was like, asked the board about just running this pilot program, seeing if we can get it off the ground and seeing what made sense. So we proposed, let us just use the top floor that no one's using. We have the whole top floor, we have access to it, but we're really using 2 rooms. This room that I'm sitting in here, and then the room right here that it's connected to. And these are the 2 rooms that we do our day out of. It's
Yeah.
more than, it's certainly not what matters. What matters is the families, the kids, and the people who are going to teach them. So,
Yeah. Incredible.
yeah.
So Annalise, as you look toward the future, and let's just short term next year, what does the next school year look like? And what are you anticipating for enrollment or any changes, any things you're going to be doing differently?
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to be really strategic about how we move forward. We're so thankful for the 8 initial families who have been willing to take this risk and come and be a part of this without all of the questions are not answered yet. We acknowledge that. So we're thankful for our core pilot group. But as we look to grow, what we're going to focus on is a slow, strategic, step-based growth program. So we're basically next year going to open up the incoming kindergarten class, and we're only going to accept 1 new incoming kindergarten class. And the plan is, if that works, that we will basically just do that. So we'll have an incoming kindergarten class next year. They'll go to 1st grade, and then we'll have another class, and then we'll just continue to build the program in that way. And then we'll continue to use the blessing of the pilot program to work out any kinks and answer any questions as we go forward, because the pilot has, right now it has K through 6th grade, and we have a large range and a large mix of students. So if those pilot families will stay with us, we'll utilize the relationships that we have with them to figure out what the ideal model should look like at those upper levels. And then as we learn, we're able to institute really strong programming at the outset. So I hope our K-level class will be way better than our first run in the pilot program, and sort of so on and so forth as we go. So
Exciting. Exciting. That's so great. Do you have other opportunities you feel like to share with churches and to kind of cast this vision with them? Are you continuing in that work and that effort as well?
Yeah, this is one of the most exciting things. Sometimes we ask ourselves, like, why is God putting me through this really hard thing that's painful? Why do I have to go through this squeeze? Like, where is this leading? And one of the things that's been so amazing to see here is, because our school closure issue received such broad news support in this region, everyone sort of knows about what went down in Wetmore. Everyone sort of knows that it was pretty questionable in terms of how it went down. And so everyone's heart, God has already turned basically this entire region's heart like towards us. And everyone sort of wants to see, what are they going to do? Are they going to succeed? So on and so forth. So it's been really exciting to go around and start talking to the churches in the community, because not only are they already primed to sort of know that something special is happening here based on everything that's gone on the past year, but I've been so encouraged, because it's almost like Christians have been waiting for someone to come and knock at their door with this type of need, with this type of opportunity, because the level of excitement and anticipation that I'm receiving from these churches is really, really, well, I'm really thankful for it because we need it, but it's really encouraging because I think that Christian people want to be doing more. In many ways, it's easy to get like in the rut of our routine, and these are the fundraisers we do. These are the mission projects that we do. Like we go to the soup kitchen once a year, whatever it is, right? But this is like an alive and living need and opportunity for discipleship that many Christians I don't know have ever had the opportunity to be a part of.
Right.
And so I think our elder Christians are like, wow, this is needed.
Yes.
This, like, something needs to change. Look at the world, it's so chaotic. Like, thank you for bringing it. And the young families who are like looking at their kids, looking at the church, looking at the kids, looking at the church. I think they're really excited too, because I think that if there were a different way, if there were a different opportunity, I think there are so many families who would love to jump at the opportunity to do something like this. It's not readily available yet, and like everyone's looking at everyone else to do something. It's like anybody do something. We can all chip in and work together here and just watch God do his thing, right?
Yep. Amen. That's right.
Churches have been great. We need more of them. We really need more of them, but everyone I've talked to has been excited and encouraging. So
yes. Well, there is hope. I think you're just showing churches are seeing, oh my goodness, thank you. You're showing us the way. Like we knew there was a need. We didn't know how to meet this need, but you're showing us the way. And families, same situation. Parents are like, oh, you're giving us hope. We thought we were destined to send our kids here or do this or that, or we didn't know what we were going to do yet. But thank you for showing us the way. So hope's on the horizon. It's very, very exciting. Analyssa, thank you so much for all that you do to contribute here in Kansas and the growth of Christian education. Thank you for your obedience and your faithfulness in what you're doing in your community.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to you as well.
Yeah, thanks for being on this show. And if our listeners would like to get in touch with you or learn more about your work, how can they reach out?
You can reach me at my email address, which is analyssa.no@gmail.com. Maybe you can drop that in the link because it's long. Our website is still coming soon, but that should be available soon, and I'll share that with you to drop in once it's available. So
great.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you.